Mark Twain famously said, do the right thing. It'll gratify some people and astonish the rest. Doing the right thing is difficult, especially when you have to crush what you feel in the process. And so, once upon a time, it was difficult being a Muslim in the city, especially after the Paris attacks. For too long, the actions of a few had led to the condemnation of too many. Dr. Hasan Abdul was just very valuable to be condemned. But he saw the dislike in their eyes, their ever distrusting eyes. Dr. Hasan headed the cardiothoracic department of the leading hospital of the city. In the world of medicine, he was called Magic Hands. There was rarely a patient who did not make it to full recovery once Dr. Abdul Hasan had operated on him. He was the go-to doctor for any kind of cardiovascular ailment, the pride of the hospital and of the city. Dr. Hasan and his wife Rukhsar had met when they were both refugees, running away from a country whose leader, a dictator, was killing his own countrymen to hold on to power and spread fear. President Qayyum. He was the plague that had hit the country, a plague that did not seem to have a cure. Hasan had seen teenage boys being taken away from their homes in the middle of the night and never returned. He had heard about eminent journalists who wrote against the regime and then just disappear. And he had suffered laws that were decreed that sent his country back to the Stone Ages. In a land where freedom, justice, and knowledge became scarce, that land had to be forsaken, whatever be the cost. With a heavy heart, he escaped, like a rat, where once he lived with his head held high, like a lion. Friends and money helped him to get to the border, and his reputation as a surgeon aided him in securing a citizenship of a country that welcomed him and his wife with open arms. And he was forever grateful. It had been raining for weeks, and Dr. Hasan looked up at the sky, wondering if it was an omen of some kind. The hospital corridors seemed to be strangely quiet as he strode in towards his office. Oddly, he felt nervous eyes look at him, follow him on his way to his office. Something was wrong. And when he found the dean of the hospital sitting in his office, waiting for him, he was certain something was terribly awry. The dean smiled a nervous smile. "Hello, Hasan. Let me not go around the bush on this one." He seemed to go straight for the jugular. "President Qayyum, the leader of your erstwhile country, has been admitted into the hospital. He suffers from an enlarged heart. There's a donor in place and a transplant needs to be done. The request is for you to do it since you're the best." I have no idea how you feel about this. It does put all of us in a kind of a spot, as you can imagine. The dean smiled anxiously as he laid the situation out in front of him. Hasan had no idea how he felt about it. He sat himself down and just stared at the dean unblinkingly. Rukhsar couldn't believe her ears when Hasan told her. "So will you operate on him?" Rukhsar asked Hasan. Hasan had been quiet all evening, deliberating. "You have to let me into your thoughts, Hasan. What are you going to do?" she probed further. Hasan looked at Rukhsar and spoke in an even voice. "I'm going to kill him, Rukhsar. Kill him." Rukhsar looked at him shocked. "I know I will never practice medicine again, and there will be a case of malpractice against me, but I don't care. If I have to rid my birth country and its multitude of this terrible curse, there can be no better opportunity to do it." Rukhsar understood exactly what Hasan meant. They had enough money to spend the rest of their life in comfort. Hasan would be miserable not being able to practice medicine, but that would be a small price to pay. "Do it, Hasan. Kill the bastard." Rukhsar hugged her husband tight. Dr. Hasan walked into the operation theater, all scrubbed in and ready for the heart transplant. In front of him lay, unconscious, the man he hated more than anyone in the world, the killer of millions and the scourge of an entire nation. Hasan had a simple plan. He was going to make a small cut on the new heart as it was transplanted. The president would bleed himself to death in post-op. There would be an investigation and the autopsy would point the finger at him. But at the most, they could haul him up for carelessness, which was all they could do to him. As his assistant surgeon cracked open the chest cavity, he took a deep breath and began the operation. "Did you do it?" Rukhsar asked Hasan as he got home late that night. Hasan walked to his wife, held her close, and began to cry. "I couldn't do it, Rukhsar. I just couldn't do it." Rukhsar said nothing but held him closer. 2 days later, Dr. Hasan Abdul walked in to see how his patient, President Qayyum, was doing. The president lay in bed, weak from the surgery, but his eyes were alert, careful, like an animal in the jungle. He let Hasan check his vitals and ask the juniors about the progress. And as he was about to leave, Qayyum stopped him. "I believe we are from the same country, Dr. Hasan." Hasan turned and smiled at him. "I am from the country that it was before you took over. It's not the same country. Not anymore." The dictator looked at him sternly. "I know I'm hated," he said. "I was afraid that you might decide to take my life in the operation theater. But then I know you're a doctor, and you would never do that." Hasan stared at him for a moment and then sighed. "To tell you the truth, I was going to take your life." The dictator's gaze turned into horror. When I saw your beating heart and you lying on my operation table, so helpless, I understood that if I killed you, it would be only your victory. In that one moment, you would have made me like you. I'm not someone who can kill a helpless man, even if he's a dictator. A dictator who deserves death more than anything else in this world. Courageous men do not take helpless lives. Only scared men do. President Qayyum stared at the receding figure of the doctor walking away from him. He knew that the scars of the surgery would heal, but Dr. Hasan's words had scorched him forever.